It depends on how you define large scale, because in a sense, if you look at decentralized energy for the poor, as we go poorer into the economic strata of our country, the people are actually spending, if you look at the quantum, what they spend on kerosene and candles, and on the delta amount of money they spend, it's very high. And it actually makes, if you look at small amounts of energy that's needed for them for their daily routine, solar energy actually makes absolute sense. So instead of looking at large plants, because that's all we all think about, 1,000 houses of small electricity is equivalent to that. So why don't we look at decentralized? That's like the Gandhian philosophy of decentralization. I think it makes, and I don't see any other country where it makes so much sense, because we also have a lot of financial institutions who can be actually asked to finance systems in a way that matches the poor people's needs. So it's absolutely practical to do.
No, so what you're saying is that it is not practical to substitute a coal plant of, let's say, 100 megawatts with a solar plant, but it is possible for a household to replace its kerosene needs with a solar energy panel. Is that what you're saying?
I'm also saying that where was the logic to actually put the coal-fired plant in the first place? Okay, where was the logic? I mean, how was the economics derived? Because even if I calculate the economics of coal-fired plant, it does not work out with all external costs. But because it's large, we think in large, right? It's like, so how do we look at, how do we decentralize it in a way that, and if you look at 1,000 houses, 20,000 houses, then it makes sense.
No, but India doesn't have 1,000 or 20,000 houses. India has 200 million houses.
So 200 million houses, it's much easier, because if you look at, we all think about one size fits all. No, I did not initially make the 200 size. If you look at cluster-wise, if I look at a village, or if I look at cluster of villages, if I look at decentralized democracy in a way, from there, I would have a combination of unreliable grid electricity, solar, eco-hydro, biogas. Everything could be looked at from a decentralized level. And it will actually make economic sense for the... See, a lot of people today, we design coal-fired plants as if the rural people are going to use Y amount of electricity, which is not true. Which is not true. Let's rework how do we design. From, if I want to put up an extra light, I then increase the delta amount of economic energy generation that I can. And many of these decentralized energy actually helps do that.
Now, would you, let's say not probably today in 2011, but say in 2020, possibly would you advocate having solar power plants instead of coal power plants? Would that be economically feasible? Technically feasible, I know.
No. Again, my question is, I have always an issue on whether it's centralized solar or centralized coal. I have issues with both. I have both. See, the thing is that, even if you look at economical viability, if you talk about, okay, even if it was economical viable today to put large solar plants, okay, I would oppose it for purely this reason. See, large solar, 1 megawatt of solar plants requires 5 megawatts, okay, 5 acres of land. Now, these need to be, because this is so-called expensive power, they need to be put near a grid, okay? And because you have to reduce the transmission and distribution losses, and it needs water for cleaning. So what type of land are you going to take? That's agricultural land. Okay, why are we, the large renewable projects have always also created social problems. Look at Mexico. Large winds have created a problem for the Native Americans. Okay, so these large solar plants also don't make sense.
No, but